The next thing I'm going to do is turn one of these into one of these. The process is actually quite straightforward if you don't make any mistakes. I'll show you what I did wrong just so you don't end up doing it, because it turns a 20-minute job into a 6-hour job. So, tools you'll need: a Posi 2 screwdriver. You'll want a stubby one to get some of the screws out, but it's always useful to have a regular length one as well. You'll need a flathead screwdriver. That helps to remove some of the electrical plugs. You'll need a 10mm socket, and you'll need an 8mm spanner, preferably ratchet, but you'll be able to do it without. Oh, and you'll also need a TX30 bit. You should begin by removing the 9 Posi 2 screws located around the edges of the door card. You'll want to use the shorter screwdriver over here, because the long one won't fit unless you take the door off, which is a load of faff that it's not required. And remember, it's always useful to have some kind of a tray to put your screws in, especially if you're working on gravel. And there's the 9th one. Next, you want to remove the 2 screws behind the door handle. Now, what I found out recently is they actually have a little hole on the underside here that you can use to lever out your piece. There we go. So that reveals these 2 screws here, which are again a Posi 2. Oh no, in here there are Torx. I might be wrong, but I believe that they're meant to be fillets and they've been replaced by someone. Or it could be the other way around. Someone in my old van has put different screws in. And for that, I'm going to need a T20. There's one. And there's 2. There's one more to remove. You need to get this one in the door handle. I'm going to drive a screw into that hole deep enough, maybe lever it out like this. That's one way to do it. And this one is another T20. Isn't it, Mia? She's ignoring me. She's bored. Just like that. So just prise it away. Just like that. And if you close the door, you'll find a Mia lurking behind. Hey? There's some water you'd so it's out. Oh, can you not reach around? Okay, I'll put it to you. There you are, darling. Right. So, with that off, you can now remove this water, well, it's this weather barrier. Now, if you do it carefully, you can probably preserve it. I'm going to remove the speaker so that I don't rip the guard. If you do this, just remember which screws are which. The screws for the speaker have a larger pan head and a tighter thread. They're also slightly shorter. It's also useful to remove the speaker anyway, because it gives you a bit more room to work with when you're installing the new electric window components. Next thing to do is remove the old wind-up mechanism, and for that you'll need your 10mm socket. And that's at the top. you'll likely want an extension bit to get to them nice and easily. There are two bolts that are holding the pane to the mechanism that lifts it up and down, and it's better to have the window about halfway down when you do this because it's easier to access them, but you can reach them, it's just more of a pain. Now that you've got all those bolts out, you should be able to get this free. So you can now lift the window up because it's not attached to the mechanism. Just get that out of the way. And then you can kind of just push that out. When I get these bolts out of the holes, then that should... you wear gloves for this. There's this funny silver. I wonder if that could be the paint somehow that didn't dry over oil. I don't know. So I'm not sure this van was this colour originally. I think it was this sort of frosty white. There we go. There's this here, the thing that turns the window. We need to get that off as well. Now this whole thing can lift out. It's a pain in the arse to get out, to be honest. Now let's go and get the other one from my old van. So the process of the door card on your donor van, in this case drummer, is that there'll be some electrics to detach. So let's have a look. Move this forward. And all there is to detach here is the power to the motor for the door. That comes out nicely like so. No, I haven't seen him. I got here about an hour ago.
Oh, really?
I guess he'll be here at some point.
You wasn't the chap that wanted to fly the drone, was you?
Yes.
Don't do it.
All right.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, I thought I'll ask, probably.
This here is still actually under prison control.
Oh, what, sort of rented from the...
Yeah, so it's kind of like let and sublet, so stuff like that. So yeah, you will come very well. In fact, you'll be in prison. So yeah.
Yeah, well, I thought it was best to...
Yeah. At least you asked though.
So now you should have your electric window mechanism in one piece. Whatever you do, do not remove these bolts here. So if you do that, this detaches, and then the spool on which the cable runs unravels, and it is a nightmare to put back on. Just don't go there. So when you've got that, it's just a case of switching it over. So it's going to be like this, I believe. Where's the... We got the thing for the speaker there, but I don't see the bit to plug this into anywhere. Oh man. I just went to put this in and I've noticed that there isn't a connector. The wiring doesn't exist on this side. It does on that side. So my only guess is that perhaps at some point this door was replaced. From what I understand, depending on how base level the model of van is that you get, it might have the wiring in it for more advanced features, but it might not, and it does over there. So you'd have thought it would over here, but it doesn't seem to be the case. I have a funny feeling it's going to involve pulling out the entire dash, not just on this van, but on drummer. And if that's the case, then isn't it just a complete rewire? That is a joke. You don't want to be cutting things up, it would be taking the entire loom. My God. In drummer, the wiring loom has options for your electric windows on the driver's side and on the passenger side. Now, when I put the driver's side window in on the new van, all of this was present. This one powers the driver's side window, this one powers the passenger side window from the driver's side. But I can't find this one on my new van, which is weird because they provided all of that wiring but nothing here. So I'm going to strip the dash down. There are a number of reasons for this. So where I've run into that issue with the passenger side window in the new van, I need to strip back all of the dash so that I can see what the wiring is doing. I'll do it in here first so I can get a good understanding without worrying about messing anything up in the new van. There are a few reasons for doing this beyond just working out where the wiring's going. I think I want to transfer a lot of this dash over anyway, because although I quite like the white paint in the new van, it really makes the cab feel a lot bigger. But it's glossy, it's shiny, it reflects off the dash and straight into my eyes, and I find it very overwhelming when I'm driving, which is not a good thing. So I spent the best part of 3 hours pulling out all of the dash, looking for a way to move the loom for the passenger electric window across to the new van, because it turns out that there isn't the wiring in that van. And then Carl turns up and goes, you know, you can just unscrew this and transfer the loom. So all I've got to do is remove the passenger door wiring loom from drummer and put it in here. Here is the wiring loom from drummer that has extra connectivity. This is going to allow me to have both the electric windows and also electric mirrors. So what we got on the existing wiring loom is power to the central locking, power to the speakers, and I think that's it. So this one, I'm going to plug it in and test it beforehand, just in case I've snagged something when I took it out of the van, so it wasn't too easy to do. Okay, so I've just rigged this up. So I've plugged in, I've powered it down here. I don't know if you can see that, it's just plugged in down there. I've plugged in the switch to the back of the door card. I've got the ignition on, and I'm just going to essentially wind the window down. That should make it a lot easier for me to fit. If you actually see here, what's actually happening with these is there's just basically there's a cable that runs through, and then each end is hooked up to this spool in here, and as when you power the window up or down, it rotates the spool clockwise or counterclockwise, and therefore changes the direction of the cable, which pulls this piece up and down. So if you watch from this side, you'll see the cable moving around. And that's how the electric window works. The manual one is just the same, it's a little more basic, but the same principle. It's a piece of cable acting like a pulley, pulling this device up and down, and this actually fixes onto the bottom of the glass. Just here. So that fixes onto here, and then when the pulley moves, it takes the glass with it.
Yeah, boy.
So we're going to go that in first, slide it down. We get this in next. Yeah, I think this is going to be a little easier, if I'm honest. Okay, then you'll see here these bolts help locate it. They're somewhere down here. There they are, there's two of them. There we go, in. Perfect. So now we've got these bolts. Then I can wind this window down manually. But for the time being, I can then plug this back in, power it. So I'm going to need the door card again. And we'll need this one again, plug it into the back of here. Okay, so now let's put the window back up to about here so that we can then sit the window down. That'll latch on. I'll tighten these up now, get that all secure. And we need, I believe it's these. Into here, they'll hold the window in place. These windows could do with a clean, so before I fully get the door cards back on, and all that jazz, I will take the windows out and clean them, I think. But for the moment, I just want my van to be secure. All right. Ow. That's good. That's done. So I've successfully installed both of the electric windows in the van, and there's a wait there, Mia. There's a reason that I haven't put the door cards back on yet, and that's because I decided I'm gonna upholster them with some leatherette, and I've run into some issues there. My sewing machine is kind of packed in. So I've had to put that project on hold. So in the meantime, I've fixed a bunch of the leaks that were happening under the bonnet. So that's what you're going to see in the next episode. Thank you so much for watching all of this. I really appreciate it. Remember to subscribe if you haven't already, that really helps, and leave a like below as well. I guess I'll see you in the next one.